Hello everyone, welcome. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what we call AWS cross account access. Okay, cross account access basically is just a mechanism or strategy where you allowed a principal or an entity from one account, okay, to have access to a resource in a different account. Okay, so how do we do this? Let's give ourselves a scenario. Let's say you have you work for a company and your customer service team, okay, receive call recordings, and what they do is to put this recording in S3 bucket, which is AWS services, okay, that you can store so many files, so many documents or recordings into this bucket. Okay, right, what you are trying to do going forward as a part of strategic business objective is to improve, okay, the way you handling your calls or your call recording from your client. To that end, you have partnered with a sister company that will assist you in analyzing your call recording and help you improve your business strategic objectives. Okay, so you have your account, customer service team are putting the recordings in there. Okay, in this account, let's call it your target account. That's your account. Okay, your partner company would like to have access to this bucket and do analysis on the call recordings or the object within the bucket. How do you handle this? As a cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, you've been tasked to actually grant your partner an access to this bucket for them to do the analysis. That is all you've been tasked to do. Okay, so you need to know how to handle this. This is where cross account access comes in. Again, your partner works with AWS and you also do. So two AWS account and they want to share, okay, they want to have access to a resource in your account. So what you need to do is to create cross account access, a role, okay, which is involves a role. What you need to do is within your account, you create a role, okay, have a trusted entity. Trusted entity is like your account will trust the other account. Okay, so you put your account, the partner's account ID in here as a trusted entity, and then you attach permission to the role. Okay, therefore when the partner assume the role, they will have permission on the bucket. What are they going to do? They're going to, let's say, get object, okay, which is like download, or put object like upload, okay, or list the content of the bucket. That is all they need to do. Again, think of principles of least privilege. They need specific access to this bucket. So you create a role with the permission for this trusted entity to access your bucket. Okay. In your account, let's say your account is target account. The source account, in this case your partner's account, they will have what we call somebody or a user, okay, whose main purpose is to assume a role in your account and do the analysis. Okay, to that end, if the user is not already created, we will create one for ourselves. We're going to call the user Charlie. Okay, the Charlie needs to have what we call STS permission to assume the role. Okay, so when we create our role, we're going to give our role ARN to our sister's company. Okay, and therefore when they are done, they will be able to assume the role by that user we create here into our account. Okay, on a higher level, this is what we're going to do. So let's quickly go into my console and then show you. So I've got two accounts here. So this is actually, let me log into this console quickly. Okay, okay, so in here, this is our account, your company's account. Okay, you have a bucket. Let's look at the bucket here. No, actually, this is your sister's account, yeah, your partner's account. Your partner's account, let's go back in here. So they have their own bucket. Forget about them. So your partner's account ends with 24, yeah? Your partner's account. They need to reach out to your account. Okay, take note of the account number. Okay, we have our account, your account here. Okay, in here, this is where your partner needs to access. So let's have a look at the bucket that you have, the bucket that the customer service team are working in. So this is the bucket. In here, they have what we call incoming folder. Okay, folder is like a prefix. In there, this is where they put the object. Okay, the recordings are in here, right? So what we need to do in our account, okay, take note of your account. Our account ends with 72. The partner's account ends with 24. Yeah. Okay. So let's come back here to your account. We have the bucket. What we need to do is to create a row. So IAM is under Identity and Access Management. Open in a new tab. Okay. We'll create what we call a row. Okay, create a row. What is a row? It's just an assume. So an entity can assume a row temporary, get temporary credential to be able to do what they need to do. In this case, okay, who is going to assume the row? It's your partner's account. A user from your partner's account is going to assume a row. So you pick the trusted entity type as an account. You select the partner's account, not your account, your partner's account. So let's grab the partner's account here. Okay, pick that one, come back to your account here, and then you put it here. Okay, paste it here. This is optional. This is extra security level if you want to allow external ID or MFA onto that. But let's skip that. Let's go next. Okay, here is what we called manage policies. Okay, so these are policies already provisioned by AWS, but we want to customize our own policy. By that we mean we want to allow least privilege to specific resource. What do I mean by that? I mean we have S3 bucket. We want the requester account, okay, our partner account, to have specific actions. We want them to put, we want them to list, we want them to get object on a specific bucket. So to that end, we will customize our own policy. So we will skip this. Okay, we're not selecting any already cooked policy. Okay, we will come back to this. So we go next. We're not selecting anything. Let's give it the row a name. So let's call it was. Okay, was consort. Okay, row S3. Okay, let's do S3 row, something like that. So we know what it's about. You can describe it if you want on here. Okay, come describe it, copy here and paste it here, or you can add more info if you want to. Okay, so this is it. This is the trusted policy. The requester account is allowed to do STS assume row. Okay, for now there's no permission attached to it. Again, we will recycle back to this. So create row. The row is created. Was consort. Okay, if you look at the permission, there's no permission, right? So even if anybody can assume a role, they can do nothing. Okay, so let's come in here, look at the trusted relationship. This is the trusted entity. Okay, so entity that can assume this role under specific condition. So they are allowed. Who is allowed? The principal, which is the entity. What is the principal? Is the partner's account. Yeah, remember the partner's account ends with 24. And what is this root doing here? This root means anybody in this partner's account can assume a role. Do you want them? Do you want anybody? Or you want a specific user or a specific role, specific service to do it? Okay, you decide. Okay, so what I would say is you go for least privilege. We need to zero this down to whoever needs to assume the role. But for now, we don't have any permission. Even if anybody, by that we mean the root, can assume the role, they can do nothing because there's no permission. Okay, we will limit this, okay, as we go along, but let me show you. Let's create the permission. Okay, go to permission. What are we doing? We are creating an action for this principal to have access to our bucket. So we create inline. So this inline is specifically attached to this row. Okay, let's pick JSON. So anytime we pick any service here, it will automatically be written here in the JSON format, right? So JSON, what are we doing? What do we need? what we are asking for is a principal to have access to a service. That service is S3. Okay, so we pick the service S3. Okay, S3, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to do everything to do with S3? These are the list. Yeah, if you don't want that, can you see S3 star? We don't want that. We want specifics. So by that, we want them to list bucket. Okay, get object. Okay, let's find get object. So get object, and then we want them to put object. Okay, put object. So they are going to allow get, put, and then list on what? If you have put a star here, it means all S3. Do I want them to access every bucket in our account? I say no. I want them to have access to specific bucket. So how do we write the specific bucket? You need the ARN of it. So let's go back to the bucket that we created. Okay, the customer service bucket. Back in here, this is the bucket. Okay, the customer service team are working on this bucket. They have a folder called incoming. Okay, so what we need to do, go to the property and pick the fully qualified Amazon resource name. I'll pick it here. Click on this square that is copied to the clipboard. We come back to the IAM role creation of the policy. We scroll down. Okay, you can put it here straight away, but what I want to show you is if you go to the bottom, you add resource. Yeah, add resource. What type of resource is S3? Okay, what is the fully qualified name, the one we copied? So we paste it here. Okay, and then we add resource. Okay, when we add resource here, okay, what I want to show you quickly is if I just leave this like that, okay, I will be able to list bucket, yeah, on this particular resource, but I cannot put or get object. I cannot do these two actions. Why? Because these two actions are object specific. Okay, the content, the stuff inside the bucket, if I want to work on them, let's say get or put, I need to add the content of the bucket to it. What do I mean? So I'll add / star at the end of another resource ARN, which is the same resource anyway. So here, let me copy this back again. Okay, can copy this here. Okay, let's go enter here, and then I'm going to paste it here. Pasting this here, okay, it's saying like there's an error, syntax error. Why? Because here I need to add comma, okay, and the error should be fixed. At the end here, I add / and then a star. This is working on the object, so I'll be able to get object and put object. Other than that, I won't be able to. Okay, so watch this carefully. Yeah, I know this bit sometimes just throw people's error. Okay, so if you want to get object, you need to allow this star. Okay, scroll down and then we create, or we go next, we give the policy a name. Okay, let's give it a name. Okay, again, let's call it boss S3 policy, something like that. Consult. Okay, go down and then you create the policy. Okay, so for now we got an inline policy created. Okay, so let's go through this quickly. Trusted entity are allowed, so anybody in this account, okay, to assume role called the STS assume role. Once they call that, okay, they now have access. So go to the permission and look at the permission. You click on the plus sign. They are allowed to call all this action. List bucket, get object, put back on this bucket resource. Yeah, that is everyone. Do you want that? let's limit this to a specific user. We will do that. Okay. So again, once you're done with this, you pass this row ARN. Okay. Copy that and give it to your partner. On their side, they need to configure what we call permission to assume a role to this resource ARN. Yeah. So show you quickly here what I mean. Um, here, back here. Okay. So we've done this. We created a role with trusted permission entity with permission to access the bucket in our account, right? What are they going to do? Our trusted company, okay, our partner, they need to have somebody dedicated, a user called Charlie, in their account to assume a role in our bucket, okay, and perform this action. So we are done. We are passing the ARN to them. We done. This is the role you can assume. Okay, therefore set yourself up so you can assume role. On their side, what do they need to do? They need to create a user who is going to perform the action, and then the user need to have ICS assume role. That is it. Okay. What I will do, I'll probably add Cloud Shell so they'll be able to work on the command line on the Cloud Shell. Okay. So that is it. So let's go to our partners account here. Again, remember our partner ends with this. Okay. We need to create a user who is the one going to assume the role in our account. Okay. So a user, an identity. So let's call this user. I think we gonna call this user Charlie. Yeah. Charlie. Yeah. That's fine. We're gonna allow them what we call console access. Okay. Password, we want them to change on the first initial login, but we are the one going to do it for now. So let's create our own custom password that is not auto generated, and we are not going to change it once we log in. Okay, let's give our password. Okay, and then we are not going to change it when we log in. Okay, let's leave it. So this is the user in your partner's account. Go next. Okay, right, this user, we're going to attach policy. What are they going to do? We're going to create policy for them. Okay, what policy are we going to create? They need access to assume role, so STS assume role policy. Okay, for the resource that we created, the role we created. So we go JSON, and what we need for this user is STS. Okay, assume role. You search for this STS. If you want them to have everything, that's fine. But we want specifically for them to assume role, and that is all for now. Okay, we go next. Okay, resource. Can you see this resource? When they are assuming the role, okay, on what resource are they going to assume the role? Okay, here is your account ARN role. Okay, the role ARN we created, the one we copied here. If you go back here, this role from your account is copied again. Okay, come back to the partners account, and then the resource, go to add resource. Okay, SCS, resource type is role, and then you put the role here. Remove that, and then you paste role here. So this is your account role, yeah, the one you created for them. Add. Okay, this is showing this error because we didn't have the resource. So we've just done that. All we need to do is to go next. Okay, and give it a name. Okay, this name, let's call it, it's Charlie. So let's name it so we know who this role is for, or this policy is for. Something like that. Okay, scroll down, and then all we need to do is to create. So we created policy. Okay, so where do we find this policy? Okay, if you come here, customer manage Charlie policy, this is it. Okay, so we created the policy. Let's go back to the user creation, and then we add this policy to it. Okay, so let's refresh this. Okay, again, let's look for it. You can search it through the customer policy again here and look for it. What is it called? Charlie policy. That one. You select that. Go next. Okay. Have a look and then you create. Okay. Created the user. Okay. You can copy this if you want to, but we know the password. Return to the user. I'm happy to return. I'm not saving anything. Okay. This user called Charlie. Okay. Has this permission to perform STS assume role on this row from your partner's account. I mean, from your account. So this is your partner creating a user who is going to perform action on your S3 bucket. Okay. So this row, this resource is the row you created in your account. Okay. You paste it here. That's what they can do. That is fine. But I'm just adding this one if you don't want the user to be using their own CLI or something like that. You want them to use what we call Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is just a web-based CLI. Provide with the environment with all tools already installed like AWS CLI, Python, and so on and so forth. So we want this user to, the user Charlie, to have, you know, access to AWS CLI and also what we call the Cloud Shell. So this is it. Okay. So what we need to do, let's add another policy. Okay. This permission, let's add another one in line specifically to allow what we call Cloud Shell. So JSON, what we again we are looking for is the, what is it called? Cloud Shell as the service. Okay. Cloud Shell. Okay. Cloud Shell. We select that. Okay. And what are we needing? Let's give all the assets for Cloud Shell, everything. Happy days. Scroll down, go next. Resource. Okay. Every resource. Okay. Cloud Shell, all resource. Can you see the star here? And then we save. Okay, we go next. Okay, we give it a name. So we say Charlie hyphen, let's say Cloud Shell access. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then we save. This is inline. It's actually attached to the user. When we delete the user, this policy is also gone. So the user, Charlie, will have access to Cloud Shell and also the policy STS to assume a role. So that is it. I think we are done. Okay. The next bit is to zero this down for the access. By that I mean in your account, remember we have the root. Okay, every user in your partner account, this is your partner account, any user, okay, that we have here can assume a role. We don't want that. We want only Charlie to assume the role. So to that end, let's grab Charlie ARN. See, watch this. Okay, / Charlie. Let's grab that. Okay, well, let me quickly copy that and then show you. I'll paste it here. Okay, and then go to your account. Okay, in your account, see the trusted relationship here. Watch this. Copy that. You see the difference, and then we are going to modify it. Yeah, come here, paste it here. Okay, if you can see the difference, the only difference at the end, root, like I said, the root means any user within your partner's account can access. Okay, so everything is the same. Okay, all the way to here, to the account, all the way to the account is the same. If you want Charlie alone, so instead of the root, you remove the root and you add the user Charlie to it. So technically, we can just copy that and remove the other one. Yeah, if that makes sense. So go back to your account here, and then we can edit. Okay, what are we editing? We are editing this one. Okay. Literally paste it here. Oh, I think copy the wrong one. Go back here, copy the whole of that, copy that, and then go back to your account here, and then we paste it here. Okay, so we are happy with that, then you save. So again, this is allowing principles of least privilege. You're only allowing Charlie, not anybody else, to assume a role and have access to your bucket. Okay, so save or update. Happy days. This Charlie can have permission to do that. Okay, right. Now we are set. Now Charlie wants to log back into his account. Okay, Charlie has been given everything he needs. So you need to log back into their company's account and then have access to this bucket. Okay. So let's go back to the partner's account here. This is your partner's account. They need to, log back in themselves as Charlie. So let's go here. Can you see this bit? Let's copy that. Or we can log out and log back in as Charlie. Yeah, here. You can copy that and give it to Charlie to log in, or let's log out. Yeah, I'm going to log out here. Okay, and I'm gonna log back in as Charlie. And let's see what Charlie can do. So the name is Charlie, and then Charlie's password. Okay, and then let's log in as Charlie. Remember, Charlie doesn't have that much permission in their account. All he needs to do is to use the CLI and assume a role. So the rest of the service he can't literally see anything. Okay. Okay, it's got denies everywhere. That's Charlie, yeah. Or because he can only use the CLI to assume a role from somewhere. Okay, so let's click the CLI. This is Charlie logging in. Can you see the name Charlie in their account? Now he wants to connect and access the backend. So let's use the Cloud Shell here. The environment is getting provision. Okay, environment is getting provision. So AWS is preparing the environment, and I think it's good. So let's look who has assumed or who has access to this cloud shell. Let's do AWS STS get hyphen caller. So who is calling? Caller. And then identity. Identity. Yeah. And then we are going to enter. See. Right. So can you see the account and then the ARN of the user who has logged in, which is Charlie. Yeah. Happy days. What we are interested here is to assume a role. Okay, so for now, if Charlie want to access any bucket, let's have a look. He doesn't have permission to do anything. Let's do AWS S3. That's the command. So we want to access AWS 3 bucket. We are going to list bucket. If you just do this, you are saying any bucket. Yeah, nothing is going to work. You go access denied. You are like, okay, all right. I don't have permission to list in a bucket, but let me have access to specific bucket. Okay, by adding, let's say if you do AWS S3 LS, okay, and then so you do S3 again, colon forward slash bucket name. Let's go for the bucket name, the bucket we created in our partner account. So here, that's the bucket. That's the name of the bucket. Let's grab that. Okay. And then come back to where Charlie is here and just paste it here. So we are going to list the bucket, okay, for this particular user. Yeah. So Charlie want to list. We know he has the permission to list bucket, okay. But now let's see. Enter. We gain error again. Access denied. Why? Because Charlie needs to assume a role. At the moment, he hasn't assumed any role yet. He's trying to list the bucket and nothing is happening. So we need to ensure Charlie assume a role and save the credentials temporary so we'll be able to perform this list bucket. Okay. So what we need to do is to just call the STS assume role. So let me clear the screen, Control L. Okay. So what we do is call the STS assume a role and assume a role. what is the command. So you say AWS, so it's AWS service, and what we need to do is say sts assume hyphen row. Okay, what row do you want to assume? So you say hyphen hyphen the row hyphen ARN. Okay, and then you give the row ARN. Remember the row ARN? We can get it, okay, from here, from your account. Okay, come back here. This is the row. This is the row ARN. Okay, go row ARN. We pick that. Okay, we go back to where Charlie is working, and then we paste it here. Right. So you want to assume a row, this row. Okay, and what we want to add is the session. Okay, so you say row, say hyphen hyphen row, and then you add the session. What session do you want to assume? That will give you how long you want to assume the row. The session, you can give it any name. Okay, so let's say Charlie's session or something like that. Okay, you can do say char, something like that. Okay, any name, you can give any name you want. Okay, so let's try and assume a row. When we get this, we get a token. We will also get temporary credentials, and we are going to export that. Okay, so let's do enter. Okay, so we got this. What have you gotten? We're going credential. These are temporary, and this is gonna last for 1 hour. The session will terminate. Okay, that's why assume row is about. So we got that access key ID. We got secret key. It's like username password with extra token. Okay, so what we need to do is to export this. Okay, so let's go enter, enter, enter. Okay, here we do Control C here. Okay, let me do Control C on this, and then I'm going to export this. Okay, so let me do export. Yeah, so basically I'm going to keep this temporary. Export what? I'm going to export AWS underscore access key. Yeah, access underscore key underscore ID. So basically this access AWS access key ID in this form. You see call to, what is it? I'm just going to copy that as key, copy, and then I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so export that, enter. One done. Okay, I'm going to export the secret key, secret access key. So again, export, sorry, lowercase, export for exports, mixing oh, export. Okay, what are we exporting? We are going to export AWS underscore, this is secret. Okay, secret what? Secret key, sorry, secret access, secret access, and then key. Right, you see call to, what is it? So secret access key, grab all of that up to here, including the quotation. Okay, sure it's in quotation, and then I'm going to paste it here. Let's enter that. Right, let's do the last one, which is quite long, and when you're copying, make sure you copy it right. Okay, so again, it's export, lowercase, so export. Okay, what are we exporting? AWS underscore, what is it? So this is session, right? Session what? Session underscore token. Okay, let's equal to what? Okay, let's grab the whole. It's quite long, so when you are copying, just make sure you copy it right. Copy that, and then paste it here. Make sure you got the right. and then you enter. Okay, now this is exported on your CLI. So let's try again and list bucket again. So let's do AWS. Okay, let me clear the screen, Control L. Yeah, so we do AWS S3 LS, and what are we going to list? A bucket, which is S3 colon // the bucket name. Okay, what's the bucket? Let's go and grab the bucket name. So bucket and the name. Okay, copy the name, bring back to here, and paste it here. Okay, now let's see if we can do AWS S3 LS and then this bucket. Okay, right. So we're able to list the bucket. What do we see? If you go back to here, this is the bucket. If you go to the object, you can see the incoming. You see the // it means it's a folder. This folder, we don't call it a folder in S3. It's an object, but we call this, it's mimicking like a folder structure, so we call this prefix. So bucket prefix. That is why you see pre at the end, at the beginning. So it's a prefix, and this is it. Okay. So now I can list it. I can list the bucket. This is being operated by this permission. If you go to the IAM here, if you come in here, this is being operated by list on this bucket, right? If I want to put or get, it's gonna work on this too. So get, I'm going to download. Yeah. So let's download it. I'm going to use this on that. Okay, go back here and we can do so to download it's similar to the command, but instead of ls we're going to use cp. Yeah, so AWS S3, instead of ls we say copy, which is download, or we're downloading S3, so colon // and then the bucket name, put it here. So where are you going to copy it to? I want to copy it to my current directory, my current folder. I don't have any folder for now, but let's use my present working directory. So I'll say period or full stop. And then what do I want to do? I want to copy the bucket and its content. So I'll say recursive. Yeah. So this is Charlie doing some work or testing it. Yeah. Recursive. So Charlie doing this. You want to download the files. Okay. Enter that. Okay. Can you see download? Okay. Download means copied. So now if I do ls here, can you see incoming folder has been downloaded? Okay. Now I can go inside the folder, say cd to incoming, tap it, and then enter. If I do ls again, I can see the screenshot, okay, that was uploaded. So let's go back here and look at the bucket, and then you can see the incoming. Within incoming there is this this file or object, and this is what Charlie can see. Now Charlie is doing his analysis. He's happy. Yeah, I have access and I'm able to see the object within the incoming folder prefix. Okay, Charlie might be doing his analysis is done. He want to upload certain file onto the bucket, for anything else after doing the analysis. So let's say something like another file. Let me call this file. So to create a file, you say touch. So touch, and then let me call it test.py or something. Yeah. So we created this file here. So if I do a list here, okay, I've got this file here. If you want to upload a file, it's same as copy. Okay, by this time you copy it. It's like the reverse of what we've done. So you say S3 AWS, actually AWS S3. So CP, you're copying it from your current directory. So period, which is your current directory, So forward slash, which is the folder of your current, and then the test, the file that you want to copy, .py. Okay, so you copy from a current directory to where you want to copy it, to this bucket called S3. Okay, colon / and then the bucket name. Okay, and then in the bucket name, where do you want it to be? We want it to be in the incoming folder, incoming, and then in there we want to put our file there, and our file name is called test.py. Okay, so this is what we want. We are copying from our local machine or our command line here to the bucket in the cloud. Yeah, and enter. Okay, it's uploaded. So all this upload is done by let's go back here. The upload is done by the put. Okay, because we are able to have this resource with the star at the end, that's why we're able to do it. Okay, and the get is the download, yeah, which we're able to do it. So if you go back to the bucket and then try and refresh that, go back to the incoming, open that, can you see we got the test I saw here? So Charlie is working, cross account has been, applied. Charlie is able to assume a temporary role into your company's account, did a bit of analysis on your voice recording, and after he's done, he created another recording, a similar recording, and send it to you so your company can have a look. So this is quite interesting. It comes very often. Sometime 9 out of 10 you might see them, and I'm happy you're able to go through this and support your team. Okay, so in a nutshell, quickly, let's go back to what we've done. All we've done is to leverage on what we call AWS cross account access. What does it mean? A principal or any entity from a different account is able to call SCS, assume a role. Okay, once that role is called, they're able to have what we call permission to access specific resource. In our case, our company has a sister company that is able to analyze our voice recording. We need them to have access to our account to perform some analysis on our object. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is it. I hope you learned something. Put in a comment section if you like it. Okay, thumbs up. Again, please subscribe and then share with your friends. Okay, happy learning. See you in our next video. Thank you very much.